on.
Hello everybody, and welcome to another production diary for Tales of Valhalla, the Aftermath Chronicles. In this diary, we're going to be talking a little bit about the pre-production process, the writing process, as well as just starting out giving you a little update on how the whole production is going and why, since I uploaded the first production diary, why there hasn't been one in a few months. So let's get started with that. First off, the reason that there's really not been much activity is because I've been sick off and on. I've had surgery, and the only thing I've been really able to do is the stop motion work itself and nothing else until now. So stuff is still ongoing, just a little bit delayed, but I hope to get the stop motion all finished within the next 8 to 10 weeks. That's basically the updates for what's going on here. So let's just move into the process, how this got all started. In the last production diary, you guys heard the general outline of how I got into Heroscape. But now let's just get started on how I actually began this process. And it began with writing a script. And it started with brainstorming. So let me explain a little bit of that writing process. For some people who do these type of productions, their process, the way they do things might be a little different, and this might not work for you, but it works for me. So what I start out first is just having a pad of paper and writing. And I'm writing, and I try and continue writing. So I figure out this process is very slow. So what I usually do is I write like half a page full of stuff, and then I type it on my computer, what I've written, fill in blanks or whatever, sometimes I can't even understand my own handwriting, and sometimes I leave certain chunks out, I don't write all the shot lists or whatever, I add that in later. I just basically try and get the dialogue down and mostly what I'm feeling like the scene should be and where the location should be, how the characters are moving about. Even then, sometimes those actions, they show up later when I'm typing. So I usually come up with initial ideas on paper, and then I finalize them writing in my computer. There's tons of script writing software you can download online for free that's very nice to use. So just go ahead and Google free script writing software and you'll see a whole bunch of stuff. And so after that initial process of getting somewhat of a script down, I began looking for people, assembling a cast of voice actors that will complete these characters that I'm creating. And so it starts with a lot of auditions, and most of the auditions I did were people that I knew generally were probably going to find a part. There really wasn't too many people left out after all of the auditions took place. It just basically mattered on, okay, who fit what. But one thing I always do, and this is a good idea, make sure whoever you're asking, because if you're doing something low, no budget, or just your budget, you're basically going to be asking these voice actors to do their work for free. So one of the things to do is sometimes people say, oh yes, I'll do it, and then a few months later it's like, oh, I'm busy with something, I can't do this, I can't do that, I don't have the time for it. So it's always good to ask about I would say at least a quarter more people than the parts you actually have, just in case that happens. And if you have an overflow, well, good, then you can pick and choose on who you want. So that is basically phase 2. And one more thing before I get more into phase 2 and additions. Another thing I'm doing besides the script writing part is acquiring Heroscape figures and hex land tiles to, obviously you need to create this universe, so a lot of the Heroscape figures, hex tiles and castle sets and land tiles and trees and whatever else I needed to get, I got mostly from eBay and a couple other people privately, but generally, I mean, I had a small budget in order to purchase some things, so that's how I acquired that. But anyway, okay, back to auditions. So this process takes a little bit of time. I did both auditions in person, if people were able to come to my house, or I went to their house, and as well as Skype, because there were a number of people who lived too far away, or either that or just really didn't have the time to like drive over here and meet them. So what I did is just like, okay, let's Skype. All I need to do is hear your voice, and I'll send you a digital copy of the script, and we just read through a couple pages and see how you do. And that's generally how I decided how the person fit with whatever characters. Like this person sounds a lot like what this character should be. So that's a little bit of the audition process. So after all the auditions are done, I decide who's going to fit what role, and then I let the people know, like, congratulations, you're this character and you're that character, now study your script. And then the next thing we do, which is like into phase 3, is called a script read. Before we get into phase 3 though, one thing that you should, at least this is what I did as far as completing my script. My script was not complete when I did auditions. You really don't need a complete script when doing initial auditions of your voice actors or your characters. I mean, all you need is something for them to read. That's generally going to be the idea of what your show is going to be like. So no need to worry about a full script. If you got it, great. If not, no big deal. Okay, anyway, moving on to phase 3. So after you get all the voice actors assembled with their... Someone's dancing in the background there, I don't know what's going on. After you assemble all your voice actors to the characters that they're going to be, you allow them time to go over the script a few times, practice it, and then take a good week, maybe like 2 days out of that week, for people to assemble on Skype or in person, wherever you live. And that's basically what we did. I took 2 days out of a certain week to where I said, okay, all you people need to come and read through this script so I can get a general idea of how your characters, if your characters actually do fit, and all of them did, but also just how the whole flow of the story is going to sound. And so I did that, and another good thing, another good reason to do a script read is so you know how committed your voice actors are, because you're not paying them, and they have to have a motivation and drive to be part of this team that you're assembling. So, and someone's about to stab me with a fork, I think. So once you do that, you really get to see who's committed to the process. And I mean, thank goodness I only missed, I think there were a couple people who weren't able to make it to that week, but they had good reasons. It's not that they weren't committed, but you find out who is or isn't committed if you have someone who keeps on giving excuses and they just don't seem interested. That is the time to drop them, because you are not going to get them to do anything, and then you're going to be in the middle of a production and it's like, okay, I need to find a new voice actor for this character, and it's good to just drop it then, and then you can find someone else to take that person's place. I mean, hey, nothing personal, but you need to get this thing done. And so that is basically what has happened in the first initial months of the pre-production, and so that's about it for that. I'm making sure, I'm looking at my notes to make sure I didn't miss anything. Yes. Oh, 1 point, yes. For the script read, make sure your script is finished then. So you have basically the whole outline of your story, how many episodes it's going to be. You're going to read through all of it and just make sure it's all complete. So it gives your voice actors an idea and gives them, if they haven't practiced, even though you tell them to practice, they're probably not going to. So this also gives them at least a general idea of what their character is going to be, what the storyline is going to be. And that's basically it. And then we move on to production, which we are not doing this episode. It'll be for next time. So thank you all for watching. Like I said, we're still in ongoing production, and you should be seeing the next episode of going into full, I believe, stop motion production. I blanked out. Full stop motion production will be for next time. So again, thank you all for watching, and we'll see all of you later.